Shalom from Jerusalem, and our weekly portion, Devarim, talks about things that directly connects us to the saddest day in the Jewish calendar, and this is Tisha B'Av. And so when we're going to talk about our weekly portion, of course we're going to talk about Tisha B'Av. So the connection is that Moshe Rabbeinu reminds people about sending spies. Remember, Jews send spies, and the spies come back and said, yes, the land is a beautiful land, but we wouldn't be able to take it because the nations are so strong. People are afraid, they sit and they cry all night. And this cry actually creates the energy of Tisha B'Av. And remember, this day, Tisha B'Av, is supposed to be the highest day in Jewish history. Why? Because what would happen if the spies came back and they brought normal report? Yes, the land is beautiful, yes, the nations are strong, but, you know, with Hashem, we can make it. Yes, Hashem promised us right from Egypt, that's the goal, to take this, and we're going in. So this day is an incredible day of spirituality, where Jewish people connect to the land of Israel, with God, with Moshe Rabbeinu, with all the miracles. It's the beginning of the Messianic era, bringing and building the temple that could never destroy it. So all the energy, all the spiritual energy, everything was ready. So we stopped it. We stopped it for 40 years first, and we stopped it really until now. Now, how did we stop it? With this cry that was not necessary. And now, you see, that's what the fear does. When people are afraid, God's presence can be right here, right now, right in front of our nose. We feel cut off, we don't feel it, and that happens today too. So, but on another hand, there's an incredible saying in Talmud that says, when all the gates of the heaven is closed for the prayer, there's one gate is always open, and that's a gate of tears. So the right tears can create the turnabout, if you wish, of the energy of Tisha B'Av. The wrong tears can recreate the energy of Tisha B'Av. So be very careful in Tisha B'Av. Why? Because if you read books about Holocaust, if you see a movie about Holocaust, whatever people do sometimes, you know, that they feel sad, they feel hurt, they feel like victims, but then you're recreating the energy of Tisha B'Av. You're feeling opposite. Now, what's the opposite? What's the difference? See, when I feel that God is over there, and that's what the Jews felt, that God somehow brought them here to kill by the sword. That doesn't make sense. It makes no sense, because, you know, God destroyed super country Egypt because of them, split the Red Sea, give the Torah, that's to bring you here and to kill you by the sword. Come on, guys. You know, but the fear has its own logic. So when the people feel that God is out there and He's throwing another curveball, and He's throwing me problems, and He's throwing this, you see, God is on the outside. So I'm crying as a victim, and that just spins me down and down and down into depression, into, you know, creating more and more walls between me and God and God and me. Now, opposite crying is that I'm crying because I'm hurt. But God is right here, right now. God, I know you love me, and I put myself into this predicament. So please, you help me to get out of this predicament. I know you're right here, right now. I'm crying to you. So crying to God breaks all the walls, right? You know, really crying from heart to God, knowing that God is right here. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Crying away from God, God is on opposite side, so to speak, right? You know, that recreates the energy of Tisha B'Av. So now, what are we crying about? Now, what are we crying to God about? And the answer is about the destruction of the temple. And you can say, well, wait a minute, you know, building was destroyed 2,000 years ago, and I supposed to honestly cry about that? Of course, we're not crying about just the building. What does the building represent? And the Torah tells us there's three structures that have similarity. Is the world outside of us, the universe outside of us, the inner universe. Our inner universe inside of us, we need to have something parallel to the outside universe so we can feel everything that's going there, and the temple. And the temple is a connection between the inner and outer. So destruction of the temple is really destruction of my inner temple, and destruction of my inner temple means there's no harmony. And that's what I'm crying about. Now, there's 5 levels of pleasure. There's a pleasure that has to do with the physical world. There's a pleasure that has to do with love. There's a pleasure that has to do with meaning in life. There's a pleasure that has to do with creativity. And finally, there is a spiritual pleasure. So, there's 5 levels of, if you wish, misery, right? There's 5 levels of unhappiness. It starts with the spiritual disconnection. Now, what's my spiritual disconnection? You know, really, can I feel God's presence when I close my eyes? You know, can I really feel God's love all the time? If I can't, and He is right here, right now. Imagine like you have somebody who really, really loves you, and who can really, really wants to help you, and you're not feeling that. That's something worthwhile crying. Well, if you're into Jewish davening, if you're Jewish prayer, you know, it's like, imagine you're starting in the world of Asiyah, which is this world, and then you move to the spiritual world of angels, and then, you know, which is world of Yetzirah, and then you go to the world of Briah, and you know, communicate with all the spiritual forces of Chayos, and, you know, Afanim, and all this, and then you go finally even further to the world of Atzilut, and you ask Efim Svirsky, what are you taking before you're davening, before your prayer? And I say, I don't, unfortunately, because what I'm telling you is that what the sages tells happening, we have no clue. See, we go through prayer, right, you know, we don't feel all these forces, and if we don't feel all these forces, you begin to understand there's a whole world, not out there, right here, and we're disconnected from this world. You know, if you can begin to feel the pain of this disconnection, you begin to cry to Hashem for this is beginning to, you know, the beginning, the remedy of the Tisha B'Av. Feeling this pain. That's what God says. If you don't even cry about it, if you don't even know about it, if you don't even care about it, how can you repair it? That's the beginning of repair. And finding the potential which is inside of us, which is not actualized, and crying to God and saying, God, I know you want me to actualize this, but I want to actualize this potential. Please help to, you know, me to actualize this potential, finding the pain of unactualized potential and crying to God about it. Love, you know, feeling love. Do I feel love towards myself? Do I fully love myself? Do I fully feel love of God? What about other people? Can I accept love, or can I give love? You know, a lot of times we're not even able to accept or give love, and we feel lack of love from others as well. Finding the pain, crying to Hashem, realizing Hashem is right here, right now. I know you love me, Hashem. I want to get over this pain. I want to feel your love. I know you right here, right now. Again, I'm not a victim. I brought myself here by mistake. I know you're here with me in this pit that I'm crying from, right? You know, like, please, let's get out of here. And finally, of course, the problems that we have in the physical world, and simply, you know, even with other things you can think about your own, but lack of money, you know, it's lack of money for good things. You know, the world is twisted because there is a disconnection. People spend millions of dollars on rubbish, let's put it this way, right? Nonsense. When it comes to education of spirituality, when it comes to wisdom, when it comes to things that are really worthwhile, all of a sudden there is not enough money, not enough resources for things like this. Again, we want those things, and we're asking Hashem, we're crying to Hashem because of real pain, you know, of real lacking, if you wish, in the right way. So now, you know, when you look inside yourself and you feel inside yourself and you find all this heaviness and pain sometimes, you know, all these inner blocks, what they call, you know, emotional block, this is, realize, this is the columns, this is a part of the broken temple. Why? Because each part of us, working together with all other parts, it's become a supporting structure. It's beautiful. But when it's disconnected, you know, and that's what ego is all about. It's working for itself. The defenses that were supposed to protect us is now working against us. The inner parts is isolated. We're cut off from ourselves. We're cut off from the world. That's what we're really crying about. I hope your Tisha B'Av now can be much more meaningful. And from Jerusalem, Shalom.